Hi everyone, it's Matthew Mackenzie here again. And as a reminder, I raise awareness of unpaid carers, especially those caring for someone living with long-term ill health. It could be mental illness, other long-term physical ill health issues as well. And I also cover cancer. I run a number of carer groups, and I'm actually going to mention a few in a moment because it's quite actually relevant to this particular video, which is on digital tools. Due to my role, I do work in IT, and as a care of lived experience, as someone who's cared for a close relative for a long time, I realized the potential in how digitization, AI apps, online apps, technology can actually help unpaid carers. It's not without its challenges, though. Let's continue. Apps like medication reminders, symptoms trackers, and digital health journals can actually save an enormous amount of stress. And as humans, we can only remember things so often. So, especially when we're getting on, or if we are under a lot of stress trying to juggle our care and role and juggle our busy lives, it does help to have apps that can sort of schedule these things. And as you can see from the pictures below, there are several different apps, which I'll go through in a bit. Um, Mobile phones are increasing in power, so it makes sense to have health management apps. So I'm going to go, through some. We have applications like Pill Reminder. If your loved one is taking oral medication, there's an app called Pill Reminder. Do check that out. You can see it at the bottom left-hand corner. I'm sorry that you can't really zoom in on that, but it's just giving examples. We also have MedSafe, another application that can help in management of medication, where you see the three mobile phones bunched up together in the middle. That's showing a MediSafe application. Then you've got the application that is linked to what you call a universal care plan. And I believe that's sitting within the NHS app. My video is actually from the UK, so that's quite relevant for there. And that's actually managing your own health and well-being if you're an unpaid carer. There are others that I've briefly can mention. I know Cares UK has a jointly app. Do check that out. And there are a few others out there. But in the end, they usually have notifications, alerts, scheduling, where you can help manage medication schedules as well. Certain apps can actually provide feedback as a carer, especially the NHS app and Universal Care Plan, which is quite important if you're caring for someone and you wish to provide feedback on how they are coping with their ill health. With these symptom tracking apps, it allows you to actually document, especially like a diary or a journal. And I often say to carers who are caring for someone, do try and create a diary. Um, it's not only to track your loved one's progress or how they're coping. It's also for yourself, especially how you are feeling in your care and role, and also to document things that may happen regarding services. It all helps in feeding back, especially with the NHS app. If it goes straight to a health professional, they can view that information and it can help them in their decision making when it comes to engaging with the person that you're caring for or engaging with yourself. And this can help in care plan reviews. So these are health management apps. There's a whole lot more to them than obviously what I've mentioned, but they are important when I mention digitization and its importance to unpaid carers. Remember, if you have a smartphone, it's basically like a second brain. You put what you put into that, what you put into that app can be very useful in your caring role. So it's not just, health management apps. We've got appointment and routine management. Now, caring often means coordinating appointments, especially when you're going to GP appointments, screenings, health review reminders, things like that, and even routines and daily tasks, especially if you're mental health care, if you care for someone with mental health and they can't often do certain tasks, you will be more likely to advocate and remind them of appointments, especially if if they involve you in their care. So I've given some examples. The biggest applications out there, like shared calendars, and you don't really even need to use your smartphone, but if you do have it, they're very fundamental for what you're trying to do. Reminders of taking medication, of appointments. So the one to the left is Google Calendar, and in fact, I use both to be honest, Google Calendar and Microsoft Outlook. When Microsoft Outlook or Hotmail came out many years ago, I started off with that, but then we had Google coming out, and I use that for work. So they both are very useful when it comes to appointment and routine management. And the point of that is it lets families and those who are trying to support, if you have them, like close relatives that may support your loved one, the person that you're caring for, to stay in sync. So responsibilities don't actually fall on one person, on the one main carer, which can often happen. Within those appointments or calendars, there will be task list apps. You've got to-do list and trail. I don't have examples of them, but do have a look into those. They can actually help break overwhelming days into manageable steps, and those tools help reduce that mental clutter and gives carers like yourselves a bit more control. So those are appointment and routine management tools, I would say, or calendars. Moving on, we've got situations when it comes to communication, and I don't think these are easily attainable, but I will mention them. If you do have them, then you can tailor them to your care and routine. And communication does matter, especially when you're trying to advocate for your person that you're caring for, or even for yourself, or updating health professionals. So the first thing, and I will revisit this again near the end of this particular video, we do have video call platforms, especially in a time when it might not always be so easy to see a GP, or even if you're trying to contact another carer that you might have access to peer support or networking. So you've got secure messaging apps, you've got voice to text tools, especially if you find it difficult to type things down. But the point of voice to text tools is it can help you communicate quickly when the time is right. And especially when you're getting on in age or elderly, it might be hard to tap something on your smartphone. So if the way technology is developing, if you're speaking into your phone, it can translate that to text, and that can be emailed off if you're giving feedback or updates to a health professional. And I've actually just said that I've just forgotten to move on to the next things. But you've got a voice assistants like Siri, which you can see to the bottom left, and then you've got Google Assistants. As I said, they can take notes, set reminders. It does take practice to do these things. It's not something you can learn straight away. I'm just saying, be aware, take notice that these things can be very useful in your caring role. And some of them are actually free, to be honest. So, do explore what, if you have a smartphone, what they can do. Next thing is AI. It's been around for a fair bit. I know even all the way to the 1960s, I would believe, but it's really have transformed development, especially sitting through online through the internet. It's great for emotional support, for connecting. I'm not saying it's going to replace um, emotional support and peer support in a on-site group study or seeing one-to-one support. It's completely different to that, but it can be useful more than other things as well. So it can help draft emails. Obviously, it can't do the whole thing for you. You have to import what you want from that. It can't do guesswork. But in these times, it can make a really big difference on not missing anything from your messaging. It can also help write complaints and prepare for meetings if you're not sure what a meeting's going to be like. Some care, I mean, even myself, I may use AI journals to track stress levels, and express emotions privately without judgment. There are apps you can download to your phone that can help in that. And you do have actually well-being apps that can offer, grounding exercise, guided breathing, mindfulness moments. Those small breaks, especially if you can't get hold of supporters from therapy or counseling, it can actually make a big difference. So I've given some examples below. You got your main one, Chat GPT. Um, you got I think Copilot, I think is the other one. There are many others out there. So I think this is the last one. And I did say I was going to mention some of the groups that I run online, and they actually are critical, really, if you're on unpaid care, especially with the use of technology. So if in the old days, I would say if you're isolated, I'm not saying that the digitalization platforms can literally be the 100% perfect. They're not. And even of the digital age, there will be still be many unpaid carers out there that will be isolated due to not getting access to technology. I'd say also challenges regarding digital literacy as well. Not everything is free. But if you do have access to those digital platforms, I'm talking about, I mean, mostly Zoom, I would say, because I tend to use that, or Microsoft Teams. I think you have Google Chat, I think. I can't remember its name fully, but you do have quite a few out there. So basically, what I'm talking about is online carer forums. I've increased the use of these for the groups that I run, and they are like virtual support groups, virtual engagement groups. You know, I'd say peer led, third party led workshops. Some actually run, in fact, most of them will be run from a lot of the care centers out there. And it gives you a safe space to share experiences and actually learn new skills. So keep an eye on what your care center is providing. And if you don't know about your care center, do register with one. As mentioned, there are lots of problems and issues with technology, and it's not 100% perfect. And to be honest, it can't replace human kindness. It's a different form of connection, but it can help you reach a form of human empathy and kindness, especially if you're going for a difficult role.